Oh, snap. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. My name is Patrick. If you're new, YouTube, take a second, hit that little subscribe button. Y'all hit the follow button. We got a bunch of people in there already waiting on the live stream to start. So take a second and hit me with a little bit of that subscription. Whoa, and I didn't mean to do that. Wonderful. Y'all hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. YouTube or TikTok, do the same thing. Hit the follow button, tap the screen like crazy. And if you want to watch the videos with us, pop on over to the Mystery Project on YouTube. That's the name of the channel over there. Come on over. We're live right now, and you can come and watch the videos with us. Watch the videos along with us. But y'all, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Let's get 100 likes as fast as possible. Thank you for the love. All right, Agatha May did it again. Shout out to Agatha May Detective Agency, y'all. There she is. Boom. She's got a new video out about Reginald Wayne Miller, which is J.P. Miller, John Paul Miller's dad. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. You guys ready for this one? Oh, man. Here we go.
In this video, we explore his second little empire and its falling. These are the Cathedral years.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Here we go.
I need to back up a bit first. I thought Reggie had left Gloryland in March of 1993, but he actually just changed the name of his church and college again and stayed in Florence until early June of that same year. So Gloryland became Cathedral Bible College, which doesn't sound nearly as fun as Gloryland. And it probably isn't even going to have horses or a mobile home park. Well, boo, Reg.
Oh, damn. Y'all, by the way, make sure you go show Agatha May Detective Agency some love. If you have not subscribed to her channel yet, it is pinned down in the description. It's in the description on YouTube. Make sure you go show her some love. And everybody else that we watch during this live stream. Everything's pinned down there. All right, let's keep going. And YouTube, hit that like button.
On June 26, 1993, Reggie placed an ad announcing that Cathedral Bible College was moving, and also declaring the beginning of the Grand Strand Cathedral Church. In small letters under that it read, a.k.a. Cathedral Baptist Church. Now you know you're doing some sketchy stuff if even your church has to have an alias.
Oh my God. That's true.
The ad also states that he will have a grant from Tabernacle Baptist Church of Florence to purchase and develop a campus between Myrtle Beach and Litchfield.
Whoa.
Reggie. Tabernacle Baptist Church was the name of your church before you just changed the name, you twit. You gave a grant to yourself. The first church service for Grand Strand Cathedral Church, or Cathedral Baptist Church, was going to be July 11th, 1993, and according to Reginald, it was going to be historic. It was not historic.
Hold up. I got you. Where is it? Where is it, Agatha?
So Reggie began preaching in a storefront in Myrtle Beach.
Storefront?
The Myrtle Beach Air Force Base had closed in March of 1993, and old Reg got wind that there might be some free land up for grabs. So he let the powers that be know he wanted some land. I guess the dream of having a campus between Myrtle Beach and Litchfield left as quickly as it arrived. Through 1993 and 94, Reginald continued holding church services in the storefront and was placing newspaper ads about how great his church and college were. He also had to make sure in a lot of the ads that he let everyone know that it was just a temporary location. I guess Reggie is just too good to preach in a storefront. Celebrity evangelists do not preach in a storefront. He was also still yelling about the Air Force land. In February of 1995, Reggie wrote a letter to the editor of the Sun News. Quote, "A recent article concerning the chapel at Myrtle Beach Air Force Base left the impression that there had not been any formal request for the chapel. In fact, the U.S. Department of Education, under the Education Act of 1949, requested the chapel and several other buildings for Cathedral Bible College. Since that request of 1993, the senior chaplain of the Air Force received a request from the Lieutenant Governor and numerous other officials to give the chapel to Cathedral Bible College. Also, Cathedral made an offer in 1994 to purchase or lease the chapel. The Air Force responded that it was going to offer the chapel at sealed bids. Following all these formal requests, Cathedral Bible
Oh my goodness. Jazz, the most beautiful TikToker. Patrick. Oh, stop it. You're so sweet.
College and Cathedral Baptist Church will offer a sealed bid for the chapel. It seems that with the golf course, recreational facilities, and other portions being given away, the chapel will have to bring in revenue to the Air Force as the religious community has to outbid each other for the facility. And
whoa. Gracie, thank you. Everyone knows it's Wendy. Kimberly, thank you. Delia, thank you.
Quote. And it was signed Dr. R. Wayne Miller, President, Cathedral Bible College, Myrtle Beach.
Whoa.
Now hang on to what he said about the U.S. Department of Education, because we're going to come back to that in a little bit. Also, I've noticed that Reggie likes to embellish his stories with adding vague quantifiers such as numerous other officials. So, Reg is mad that he has to play by the rules and bid on the base property, and he stays mad about it for a while.
Oh my God. Wild Love's right. I'm so glad I found her too. Y'all make sure you subscribe to Agatha May Detective Agency.
In June of that year, Reggie ran a Save the Chapel campaign because he had somehow won a bid on the property without actually having the money. I'm not sure how that worked, but on September 13th, 1995, Reggie purchased a little over 2 acres that included the chapel for $280,000 from the United States Air Force.
Whoa.
The Air Force had authorized the city to create a Myrtle Beach Air Base Redevelopment Authority, and their job was to vote on who might be given some of the land, but the final decision was up to the Air Force. And in January of 1996, the Myrtle Beach Air Base Redevelopment Authority voted to give some base land to Reggie. He would be receiving the base theater and the bowling alley, which sat on about 2 to 3 acres of land, and it would be free as long as the Air Force approved it. Now, while
Oh my God. JB, thank you.
waiting on the approval, Reggie was able to lease this land and the buildings at no cost. And there were also stipulations that if he was given the land, that improvements to the buildings would have to be made. So in between fighting the redevelopment authority, Reggie
Imagine getting a lease that doesn't cost you anything. That is crazy.
managed to move his church and college to the new property that he had purchased and started a school there that included grades 6 through 12 and eventually included kindergarten through 5th as well. Now, it
Oh my goodness. Spiritual Diamond, thank you.
seems that sometimes the school was named Grand Strand Christian Academy, but other times it was just Grand Strand Academy. I guess it was just whatever Reg wanted to call it that day. He's so
Whoa.
whimsical. In April of
Oh, Agatha May.
1996, Reggie went to the Redevelopment Authority and requested even more free land. He wanted an additional 22 acres that included the base exchange, 2 dormitories, and some land for a playground. He did not get it. In May of 1996, the Sun News in Myrtle Beach published an article with the headline, quote, "School is irate over Air Force Base land. Denied request for space has Bible College fuming." End quote. Now, I will admit that I did giggle when I saw the headline. The article starts with, quote, "The director of Cathedral Bible College vowed to fight a decision Wednesday that threatens to keep his small private college from growing at the closed Myrtle Beach Air Force Base." End quote. Now, why do I think that the only reason that Reginald phrased it this way was so that he would have an excuse as to why his college didn't grow, should it not, that he could just blame the Myrtle Beach Air Base Redevelopment Authority, because that seems sane. The article continues, Quote, "This is not the end of it. I am angered and stunned," said Miller, who threatened earlier this month to file a lawsuit that would halt redevelopment of the base if he didn't get his land. The article goes on, starting with a quote by the Redevelopment Authority's executive director, Buddy Stiles. Quote, "Nobody ever promised him any land. The Department of Education
Oh, God. Layla, thank you.
does not have the authority to guarantee him getting the land." End quote. The article further explains that Reggie said that federal officials and former Governor Carroll Campbell led him to believe that he'd get the property.
Margie, thank you.
The authority offered to let him lease the land for 3 years, but Reg rejected their offer. He also rejected their offer
100%.
to purchase the property. Now, Reggie was back at it the very next month, asking the Redevelopment Authority for the property again, and they denied his request again. I don't think Reginald Wayne Miller likes taking no for an answer.
Ooh.
In an article dated June 19th of 1996, the Sun News reported that Reggie had supporters who were sending hundreds of letters and making hundreds of phone calls to the Redevelopment Authority and other community leaders about the Air Force Base issues. I like to imagine that a lot of the calls were probably just old Reg using different voices. Reggie had also sent a letter to the authority after his first denial. Quote, "We do not consider this matter closed. This property is the Lord's. It has been dedicated to him. Kings rise and fall, and so do authorities." End quote.
What? What the fuck?
Oh my gosh.
You know who else falls? Blowhards who throw a fit when they don't get their way. Grow up, Reg.
Oh, damn. You saw JP in Garden City a week ago with a woman who's, oh, dang. Yeah, that's the Susie lady.
The article also quoted an authority member as saying, quote, "This is not a very nice group of people," end quote.
Damn.
Wayne claimed the Redevelopment Authority was breaking the law because it refused to give him the land. He said the Department of Education ordered the authority to give him the land. But once again, the Department of Education did not
Thank you, JV.
have the final say in
Thank you,
who
Deborah.
received the land. Now, you remember television station WPDE that ran the expose about Mac Daddy Miller trying to get frisky with students at his college? During this time, when Reg was fighting the Redevelopment Authority, WPDE was rebroadcasting the expose.
Oh, hell yeah.
They also ran a story about the Air Force Base land and used it as an opportunity to bring up the aforementioned alleged friskiness. So, Reginald I Have Anger Issues Miller wrote a letter to the television station. Quote, "Maybe sickness, loss of a loved one, something mortally painful, but it will come back to you. It will come back on the one who prompted your reporter to do a number on Wayne Miller." End quote.
You what?
Oh, man.
Okay, I think Reggie might be a little
Desiree,
unhinged. This man is speaking about
I got you.
Unhinged bananas crazy.
himself in third person now, and he wished pain and even death on people. I don't think Reginald is a very nice person. In fact, I think he's super not nice, and I think many, many other vague people agree with me.
She said super not nice.
Have you seen the text that John Paul sent Mica? He was apologizing to her and saying that whenever somebody does something wrong to him, his first reaction is to hurt them.
Yeah.
I guess we know where he learned it.
Oh, damn. YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. And we're about 6 likes away from 100. So take a second, hit that thumbs up button for me. It just helps spread the stream out. Same thing over here on TikTok, y'all. Hit the follow button if you're new here. Tap the screen like crazy. Let's get 25,000 likes. We don't even have 10,000 likes. Whoa. Y'all, 25,000 likes. Let's get it so people will come on in and join the stream. And thank you for the hand hearts, y'all. Very sweet. Very much appreciated. Helps me go live every night. All right, let's keep going.
In May of 1997, the Air Force had still not approved the land for Reggie. It seems they had concerns that the school didn't have any audited financial figures to prove they had money to renovate the buildings. Now, Reggie explained that he didn't have an accounting firm because he couldn't afford it. But he definitely had the money for the renovations. Also, because the schools weren't accredited, they would have to pay 20% of the value of the acreage that Reggie was requesting. Now, does Reggie ever listen to himself when he's spouting off? He doesn't have money for an accountant to perform an audit once a year, but he has money to renovate 2 buildings. Now, that is
That is crazy as hell. Margie,
some
thank you.
kind of magic dollar math right there.
Magic
In July of
dollar math.
1997, Reggie finally received his bonus land approval and was expected to wrap up the deal within 90 days. And he stated that even if they had to pay for the land, he could because he had $1.5 million in property at the former Glory Land that he could sell. Speaking of Glory Land, in 1999, Reggie still owned the property. And the property, along with his former church and college, was in the process of being sold. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? Well, in April of that year, the church went up in flames, just like his other church. Now, how unlucky can someone be to have 2 churches, both empty and in the process of being sold, burned to the ground? Well, isn't that just a coincidence? In July of 1999, Reggie changed the name of his school from Grand Strand Christian Academy to Cathedral Hall Academy, because, of course, he did. 1999 was also the year that the federal government approved Cathedral Bible College to accept foreign students traveling to the U.S. on education visas. In 2002, Susan had had enough of Reggie's crap and filed for divorce. In an affidavit, she alleged that she'd found Reggie in bed with a man who attended the college. She also described
You what?
how he beat a 5 or 6
Oh my God. Reggie.
year-old John Paul so badly with a leather belt, he was left with bloody stripes on his legs. She also alleged that when JP was a teenager, he and Reggie had fights that would end with the police being called. Later, in John Paul's divorce from Allison alleged in an affidavit that John Paul told her that his struggles with infidelity and prostitutes was because he was SA'd by his father when he was a child. Susan did not mention S abuse in her affidavit. So let me stop here and say that my heart breaks for the little boy that was John Paul. No child deserves that. But as an adult, you have to take responsibility for your own actions. You don't get to do whatever you want and continue the cycle of abuse and then try to make an excuse that you only did it because you were abused. You have to stop the cycle of abused. Being abused is an explanation for your actions, but it's never an excuse. So Reggie continued with the college and school, and in 2003, somehow managed to raise $850,000 at a fundraiser to renovate the bowling alley, which was being used as Cathedral Hall Academy. Now, didn't he say back in 97 that he definitely had the money for the renovations? In a Sun News article about the fundraiser, Reggie was quoted as saying that 2003 had been a year of miracles. In February of 2006, wedding bells rang out across the land when Reginald Wayne Miller married Leslie Oakes. A few months later, he was arrested for lewdness and prostitution after exposing himself
You what?
to a male undercover police officer
What?
at a beach bathhouse. Well, happy wedding, Leslie.
Clank, clank, clank.
Reggie was able to enter a pretrial intervention program, and the charge was eventually expunged. Of course, Reginald denied the allegations and said the officer actually came onto him first.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
I'm so sure the undercover officer did that. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Let's get to 200 likes. We're getting close. Hit the subscribe button too. TikTok, take a second. Hit that follow button and keep tapping the screen like crazy. Let's get 25,000 likes. And y'all, thank you for the hand hearts. 8 more.
You know, if this man ever decides to tell the truth, his mouth is going to be so surprised, his lips are going to fall off. For a few years
Jeez.
after his bathhouse debacle, Reggie managed to not have his name in the newspaper, at least not attached to anything horrible. Now, sometime between 2010 and 2011, it appears that Cathedral Hall Academy closed. In June of 2011, Reggie had been renting a building to Palmetto Academy of Learning and Success, or PALS, and he brought a lawsuit against them over the signing of and changes to a lease. PALS filed a counterclaim which stated that, quote, Dr. Reginald Wayne Miller wrote several letters falsely accusing the defendant and its agents and representatives, specifically Miss Amber Rogers and Miss Courtney Fancher, of fraudulent actions, misrepresentations, and misappropriation of funds, end quote. There were also letters sent to the Horry County School Board and other members of the public that accused school staff of stealing money, even though Reg had no proof of such. Reggie alleged that the school had committed fraud and breach of contract concerning the lease. However, the lawsuit also stated that Reg and another trustee signed the lease but didn't review the document closely before they signed it. So Reggie is suing a school over a lease that he didn't really even read, but he signed it anyway.
Wow.
Enough with the letter writing, Reggie. After a lot of back and forth between the two entities, the parties eventually
God, I love this channel so much.
agreed to dismiss the case. In October of 2012, there was an announcement that the main campus for Cathedral Bible College would be moving into the former Old Marion Hospital in Marion, South Carolina. The college had received a $644,000 grant from the Marion County Health Foundation to help finance the purchase of the building. I have no idea how Reggie managed to pull that one off. So,
that's
on
crazy.
January 1st, 2013, Reggie sold his beloved Air Force land for $300,000 to Solid Rock Ministries, whose president/owner is none other than our least favorite narcissist, John Paul. In 2014, 8 international students from the college made allegations that Reggie was forcing them to work 30 to 56 hours a week at the college and at his home, and was only paying them $50 a week.
Whoa.
The students alleged that the living conditions in the
thank
dorms
you.
were poor, sometimes going without hot water, heat, or air conditioning. They also alleged that the food they received was expired or that there wasn't enough. Another allegation was that the classes were a sham. The students stated that if they complained, they were threatened by Reggie with having their visas revoked or being turned over to immigration. Reggie was arrested on May 22nd of 2014 and went to jail. News of his arrest was in newspapers across the country. Reggie eventually pleaded guilty to federal charges of fraud in foreign labor contracting, visa fraud, and willful failure to pay minimum wage.
That is crazy. Lord, thank you.
On August 14th of 2015,
Casey,
his
thank
wife, Leslie, filed for divorce. 2 months later, Reggie was sentenced to time served and placed on 1 year of having to wear an ankle monitor and 3 years of supervision. Happy divorce, Reg! And like a rubber ball that is made from industrial extra strength, super duper strong, resilient, never ending rubber that never, ever, ever, ever quits, Reggie bounced back, and before long, he was once again operating a college. If nothing else, this man is chock full of tenacity and audacity. Now, here is one of the funniest and most pathetic things I've seen Reginald do, and he didn't mean to be funny. So after returning from being incarcerated, he figured out that if people searched for his name or the name of Cathedral Bible College online, his arrest would show up. So he thought he'd be slick and try to manipulate search engines to direct people to his missions website by using the same keywords that would show up on the news stories about his arrest. So here was
How dare you?
Unbelievable. Shout out to Julie. Thank you for the off the grid love. Y'all, thehauntedSide.com. Go check it out. All kinds of ways to support the show. Thank you for that, Julie. Very sweet of you. All right, let's keep on going. By the way, YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. About 56 or so likes away from 200. TikTok, hit the follow button as well. Tap the screen like crazy and hit me with those hand hearts, y'all. We got 4 left. And let's continue on. We love Agatha May. Make sure you subscribe to this channel.
What he wrote on the homepage of his mission's website. Quote, Reginald Wayne Miller Missions, Cathedral Bible College, arrested by God's love, has devoted, not by forced labor or slave labor, and with international students, over 40 years to Bible colleges in the USA and bringing students from 53 nations. And also on the homepage of his website, quote, Reginald Wayne Miller, as the founder of Cathedral Bible College, and its students are sentenced by the Holy Spirit to serve, not through forced labor, but by being arrested by God's love.
Oh my God. This dude tried to use keywords to get Google to show that site over the news article saying all of that stuff. What?
You what?
That is crazy as hell.
Bruh.
Unbelievable. Oh, that's the end of it too. Oh, no. Y'all, make sure you go show Agatha May some love. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's keep on going.
Documents and audio recordings potentially shedding new light on Micah Miller's final days before investigators say that the South Carolina woman took her own life. While investigators ruled the 30-year-old's death in April a suicide, her family insists there is more to this story, and they are pushing state police
Entertainment and educational purposes only, TikTok overlords.
and the FBI
I know they get mad as hell when they hear certain words and they shut down the whole stream and everything.
to take over and examine her death as a homicide. NewsNation investigative correspondent Rich McHugh is alive with more on this. So, Rich, what is in these new files?
Hi, Nicole. So Pastor John Paul Miller has been posting near daily videos to TikTok saying he's looking forward to presenting some 350 pieces of evidence that he wants to share with the public that will point to who is really behind Micah's death and that will disprove all the lies in the media. In the meantime, News Nation has obtained this video through a Freedom of Information Act that has become evidence as a part of legal proceedings that John Paul Miller's ex-wife, Allison Williams, has brought against him. Williams is fighting for emergency custody of her 2 children. In the video filmed months ago, John Paul Miller admits to suicidal ideation.
Whoa.
Use of lithium. He says he has demons and mental health issues. Take a look.
That I'm supernatural. And so I'm telling you this so that you can be encouraged that God can use you. So for the past 4 weeks, I've had the most horrible battle and horrible time of my entire life. I've never, ever, 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 not even close, been through what I'm going through right now in life. Not even close. Horrible.
Whoa.
I mean, horrible, so bad. I'm seeing a psychiatrist every week. I'm on 900 milligrams of lithium. I'm seeing a counselor every week. I'm going to inner healing. I'm going to deliverance 3 times a week with pastors in the area. I'm doing everything I can just to be able to get out of bed. I'm so depressed. I want to die. I'm suicidal. I have unforgiveness, hatred, demons coming out of me. Horrible. I'm in such a bad place. I spent my
You what?
Friday night at Kelly's house with women over 50 years old watching them play bunco.
Now, News Nation
What the heck's wrong with Bunko?
has also obtained a voicemail, evidence included in that same custody battle from Micah Miller to Allison Williams, John Paul Miller's first wife, asking for help. Take a listen.
Hey, Allie, it's Micah. This is my new number. Please don't give it to anybody, but I just wanted to see who your counselor was to help you. I don't want to lose myself in this, and I don't want to pursue anything out of anger or vengeance or anything like that. I just want to be free and have peace and keep my soul right. So if you just text me a name, even of a good counselor, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
The video and the voicemail Williams is using as evidence in her case for the protection of her children, and they certainly add context to what was going on behind the scenes with both Pastor John Paul Miller and Micah Miller in the months leading up to her death, Nicole.
Yeah, it's really hard to hear that last sound there, Rich. So we know her family is pushing for more to be done. What do we know about this investigation into Miller's death, potentially by the FBI?
Well, Robeson County Sheriff has ruled it a suicide, but they did reach out to the FBI, and the FBI has confirmed that they were brought in. They didn't say in what capacity, but several sources have told us that the questioning from the FBI is looking at a certain statute about harassment across state lines. So if they can prove that harassment led to a death across state lines, then it's potentially chargeable. We don't know for sure. The FBI won't tell us that exactly, though, Nicole.
Oh, there you go.
All right, yeah, I know you will continue to keep an eye on this. All right, Rich McHugh, thank you.
There you go.
Hello, 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 and we are back. Let's try this again, folks. JLR investigates bad reception here in the mountains. Micah Miller case, how are we looking on the reception? Give me a reception check. Fortunately, the Wi-Fi in the mountains is not too good at the hotel. They had some, but it looks like I'm off the Wi-Fi. I'm going to try my best on my network 5G. We'll see what happens here. Continuous coverage in the Micah Miller case. Let me see the other screen of mine and see if we got anything good and see if we can, how the reception is in this particular area. Come on in, everyone. Come on in. Good afternoon. JLR investigates. We're going to cover the Micah Miller, John Paul Miller case. Sometimes on the road, we get bad reception, bad Wi-Fi, no phone service in the mountains where I'm at in Southern California. The reception is very, very bad. So I'm going to do my best because I want to, oh, look, it looks pretty good. Look, we look good.
And this is talking about that whole March 11th that JP was going on about in that last video that he posted, where he's like, all you cyber sleuths need to remember March 11th. All right.
We look good. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. So hopefully people pile in because we want to continue to talk about the Micah Miller case and that March 11th date. JP Miller spoke. He spoke on that true crime with RI, as CJ Crime Concept said in the chat. He's not so sure if it's or he kind of wonders if it's JP's account. I kind of wonder that too, but we'll see over time. But nevertheless, he releases out these statements, and we listen to these statements. They are interesting. But before yesterday, he talked about this March 11th date. I want to talk about the March 11th. I came on because I said, hey, March 11th is a very important day because Micah Miller went.
Is that a whole thing? Is it people think that it's him?
Through hell that day. She literally went through a day of hell, even starting at 1 o'clock in the morning on March 11th. That's when a little after 1 a.m. is like the first police reports. The police reports followed throughout the day in the morning. JP Miller himself, confronted her, said he's going to post her pictures out or post a picture of her out on Facebook. Now, we're going to say something here. And, I said this on my last live before we got cut off. But yes, it is truth. There is truth that Micah Miller was seen on the beach on the night of the 11th with the younger guy, seen, and she was kissing a guy. That's the truth, folks. But there's a lot to that situation, and I wouldn't call it cheating on JP. I wouldn't call it having an affair on JP.
They were already estranged.
She was at that point, moving on with her life, trying to meet new people that would talk and listen to her. And she, had somebody around at that time that, she was talking to, like somebody that would be, an ear to her, that would listen to her talk about, the stuff that she was subjected to, the torture and all types of abuse, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally and physically, all of it that she was subjected to, and someone was listening and stuff. JP Miller.
There you go. Naz, thank you. By the way, YouTube, everybody watching, we got over 300 people. Hit the thumbs up button real quick. Let's get over 200 likes. We're very close. Got about 29 to go. So everybody just hit that little thumbs up button. Spiritual Diamond, thank you as well.
Was having PIs, and he was tracking her down to a T. Also, folks, I believe he was trying to set her up because, just a little bit before that date on March 11th, around February 23rd, so reverse it about 2 weeks prior, JP was filing for spousal support against her, right? So he made a filing in the courts against Micah Miller. I suspect here what he was trying to do was trying to set her up on infidelity or make it appear that she wasn't faithful and loyal to her, so she wouldn't receive a penny in the divorce proceedings, because South Carolina law, believe it or not, one of the grounds for divorce where someone doesn't receive money in the process of divorce if you can prove grounds of adultery. So I really think he was setting her up, and we're going to talk about it. He spoke last night. He didn't say anything on True Crime RI, but we're going to listen to what he had to say last night. He's just basically saying why he chooses this method on TikTok. It's like everybody's reaching out to JP wanting an interview. ABC News, Good Morning America, Fox, CNN, but he chooses a smaller channel for just some reason. I don't know. But the bigger networks, I think he'd be afraid to go on because I think that the media companies would ask him a lot of questions. But I'm not so sure media companies even want to give this guy a platform at this point. Knowing what we know about this guy at this point, I think there'd be a lot of backlash even giving him a voice on these bigger networks. But he would definitely get, if a good journalist that would sit down with him one-on-one would basically eat him alive, and catch him in all these discrepancies and lies. Like in everything that he talks about, we pretty much debunk everything. And I'm about to debunk the March 11th, what he's talking about, by the way. So come on in, everyone. I want a lot of people in the chat here. We had a lot before we got cut off. I'll have to make a new thumbnail so we don't get confused with the last live. Oh man, delicious coffee. At least the mountains has coffee. So let's talk. I want to play what he played on the other night. He spoke last night again.
Ashley, thank you for the off the grid love for more coffee. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Y'all, thehauntedSide.com. Check it out.
We speak tonight and we'll probably review it again tomorrow because we're not abandoning this case while we're out on the road doing other things. I have all these cases in the back of my mind. This case is Sebastian Rogers, quite a few cases. And, whenever something breaks, I will be able to pull over and be able to provide you that insight of my take of the situation. We're pretty in the know with the Micah Miller case. We know a lot of people. We have a lot of sources, and we're pretty in the know of what breaks and what develops. But there's some screenshots circulating about JP complaining that Micah is having an affair on him. I think this is a deliberate setup, and what he's trying to do is create a paper trail to claim that Micah was not loyal to him, or claim that he's a victim of infidelity, or he's a victim of an affair. No, remember 2 weeks prior, he filed for spousal on Micah. Micah was clearly away from him at this point, right? Micah was working a job at J. Peters. Micah was hanging out with her family more. Micah was connecting with people, some people former members of the church, or even some people of the church, of the Solid Rock Church, hanging out with them, trying to move on with her life, surrounding herself with better people, healing from breaking the chains away from JP, and JP couldn't take it, and he just kept coming at her and stalking her and everything like that, playing the victim. So it's
Spiritual Diamond's birthday. Oh my goodness, Spiritual Diamond, happy birthday. Y'all put some cakes and balloons and stuff in the chat. We got almost 600 people on TikTok, y'all. Make sure you hit the follow button too. Tap the screen like crazy. Let's get 50,000 likes. A little over 300 on YouTube, guys, and 4 likes away from 200. So hit that thumbs up button and let's continue on. We're talking about Micah Miller. This is JLR Investigates, and he's talking about that March 11th, y'all, that JP said we all need to pay close attention to. And that, yeah, so here we go.
Sucks, but he spoke. He spoke here, and we're going to play this right here. He spoke right here. Here he goes again, in a T-shirt. He looks kind of like, to me, unhinged. Even News Nation called him out by saying he's
unhinged bananas crazy.
Releasing these TikTok videos, trying to pitch a case. I don't know what he's trying to do. Maybe he's trying to convince the ladies that he's a victim to try to gain sympathy and support. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know why he's doing this, but he continues to do it. So let's turn the volume up and listen to what JP Miller had to say yesterday.
Okay, everybody, we're going to answer a question from Miss Kelly, C19. That is C19. And she
Michelle, thanks for joining. Welcome back.
asked how me and True Crime Re got connected. And so this is an unusual story. I've had people call from all over the world, Australia, England, California, Antarctica. That was a lie. Nobody's called from Antarctica. Nobody cares about me at all in Antarctica. But anyway, and so...
Really, JP, you're going to go with an Antarctica joke? Which is kind of weird, y'all. It just hit me. Who else talked about Antarctica here pretty recently? Lori freaking Vallow. Remember, she said she could fold Satan up into the shape of a taco and lock him in a box in Antarctica? That's weird.
How dare you?
All these other people are calling, and they're all asking me like information and just not very nice, and their motives. They want me to.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of people are saying now. That true crime, this channel, this TikTok is JP. There's no other person. It just is him.
Go on their shows and their TV shows and all these kind of things. And True Crime Re called me, and She had no ulterior
How did she get your phone number? Just a random TikToker found your phone number?
motives whatsoever. She just was asking how I was doing. She didn't know who I was. She didn't want me to give her any kind of information. She just started just being very kind to me. And through that, I found out that she was a talk person. And at one point I told her, I said, you know, to help me heal, I think it's time for me to start sharing a little bit. And I got one of my lawyers to approve me sharing little bits and pieces. And she said to me, and here's how much integrity she had. She said to me, you know, there's platforms that are a lot bigger that would love to hear your story. And I said, you know, I really appreciate that. My goal isn't for everybody to hear my story. My goal is just to kind of get the word out a little bit to make me feel better. I said, I need to heal, and I have all this stuff inside of me, and I have nobody to really share it with. And it's full of, I know it's truth. I have proof behind it. I said, I don't care if 1 million people hear it or 1,000 people hear it. I just want to talk about it. And so she agreed that she'd put it on her platform that she has. If I send her
You what?
the videos, and so that's kind of what we've been doing. And it doesn't matter to me if everybody hears it and believes it. It doesn't matter if they hear it and they like me. It doesn't matter if everyone hears it or nobody hears it. It just kind of makes me feel good
Miss Anakin, right?
to know that true crime rehears it. And I promise I'll be truthful with you. And so that's what we do.
Oh, you promise you'll be truthful.
Bruh.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Okay, so that's what he released. Nothing about 350 pieces of evidence, nothing of nothing. So now he's just going about true crime.
A big old nothing burger.
Well, true crime read. But guess what, JP? Your little, and I'm speaking directly to JP, these little sermons that you're giving, these little things throwing shade and harassing and terrorizing the Micah Miller's family and everything that you've been saying, this is about your 8th one. Well, guess what? You just gave the family of Micah Miller some ammo here, because you just confessed and said that this individual contacted you to put this stuff out there, and you felt like this person didn't have a ulterior motive, and you felt like you would release these things on this individual's channel. But guess what? Discovery and interrogatories would be very interesting, JP, when the family of Micah Miller uses these things against you. And guess what? You're going to have to reveal under oath, Mr. JP, who True Crime Re is, if the family of Micah Miller sues you in the course of continuous harassment of what you're doing to Micah's family. So you
That's true.
just kind of
Autumn Dobson, your eyes though. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Dobson, are you from Massachusetts?
just played yourself right here, but you'll see over time. I don't know why your lawyers told you to do this. And first off, you don't really
They didn't.
have to get your lawyer's approval. You're the one that pays for the lawyer with the congregation money. Don't you have to say? Don't you have to say? So if your lawyer said no, you would do it anyway. But regardless, guess what? You just admitted that this individual contacts you. And guess what? The family of Micah Miller can get that information and maybe even hold True Crime Re, whoever this individual is, if it's not you, accountable too down the line, because you've been saying some very defamatory stuff in these things lately about Micah Miller's family, I feel. But it's definitely on the, it could be criminal what you've also done at this point. So who knows, JP? Who knows? But keep releasing it. Pretty good. Thanks for telling on yourself. That's my take on that. What's your take on what he had to say? Because he didn't say anything of nothing. He didn't give any 350 pieces of evidence, information, nothing on this particular thing. He just wants to explain a little bit. And he acts like he's Mr. Popular too. He acts like, all these networks are trying to reach out to him. Maybe they're not. Maybe he's just full of himself. Maybe occasionally some maybe said, hey, we want to talk. But again, I think he's more fearful of not wanting to talk on these networks because they'll actually call him out on his BS, or, this TikTok channel that doesn't get a lot of followers, and the only ones that really release what he says on TikTok is like me and some other channels that are covering this case specifically. But it's not really getting national news when he's releasing these TikTok videos. So, if he went on the national news and spoke, then, it'd reach a higher audience, and then people could call out what he's saying. But it definitely looks unhinged a little bit. He definitely looks like he's under enormous amount of stress and pressure. And I could just imagine, I can't imagine what he's going through right now, because he's probably scrambling. He's probably, scrambling around, looking out his windows, peeking out the windows, thinking the FBI is going to come at him at any time or be served additional court papers. He's not living very peacefully right now, to say the least. I don't think he is.
Oh, man.
I don't think he is. Let's go back to March 11th.
Montreal says hi, everybody. YouTube, keep hitting the like button. We're at 219 likes. Let's get to 300. TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here and tap the screen. Let's get to 50,000. Thanks for the little hand heart things too, y'all. Dancing hands. That's what we're trying to get right now.
Because that's the title of this video. A lot of people are saying it's over JP. I do feel like eventually he will be charged. He will eventually be hit with a civil lawsuit, wrongful death suit, and possibly people from the congregation that went to his church will sue him for some sort of fraud or you know, wanting their money back that they gave to the church under tithing. I really think that's happening. Also, folks, I just want to say,
and you sue to get, I guess you can, right? If you have just cause to sue, because you're like, oh, I thought that was being used for things not like this kind of stuff, like tire deflation devices and whatnot.
There is a growing coalition of people, including a former member of the church that has reached out to me. I communicate with a total of 5 members of that church, or former members of the church, five that I communicate with continuously. And one has stated to me when they texted me very, very angry about his pardon that he received. And it seems like he has lied a little bit about what he said to get a pardon. So there, and I said to him, do you think his pardon should be revoked? And he said, absolutely. And people might be trying to contact certain individuals in the state of South Carolina, like the pardon board or the judge, and try to get that pardon that he had rescinded. Because if he gets the pardon rescinded, folks, which is possible, because if it was under fraudulent pretenses, he could get that revoked. If he gets it rescinded, guess what? He is now a convicted felon again, right? And he can't possess firearms. And that could save lives, because knowing what we know about this guy, and he's running around with firearms right now, and he actually used the firearms as a way to scare the family of Micah Miller when he texted their family saying he was armed.
Yeah, that is crazy as hell.
It'd be good to get the firearms all out of his hands. I don't trust this guy whatsoever with a firearm. You know, I think amounts of pressure that keeps on happening on this guy, there could be some serious things happening with him and firearms down the line. I personally think he might not take himself alive if the FBI comes at him, you know, because he's facing decades in prison if there's charges on what led to Micah Miller's death. I told you the federal...
That's true. He does seem like the kind of guy that would like barricade himself in and just...
Federal statute, 18 USC 1111, murder. And he can be charged with murder on a federal level for, we read the stat, he is responsible, he can be responsible, you know, even though he didn't commit per se the murder, but responsible for what led up to a murder, he could be held criminally charged. And you know, murder on the federal level, you know, murder on the state level, you pretty much spend the rest of your life incarcerated. And
yes, you do.
And on top of financial crimes, we could be talking about an Alec Murdaugh type of situation, right? Maybe not life, but definitely 30, 40, 50 years kind of deal. To say that this guy's not going to get charged, you're fooling yourself. And if he thinks he's not going to get charged, he's living a delusional life, like he's putting out these TikTok ridiculousness statements. He is most likely going to get charged very, very soon. Now, I'm not so sure it will be murder. I'm not so sure, but it could be. It could be, because the people that we know, me and Magnolia know, that got spoken to, they asked directly about what led up to Micah Miller's death and how he treated Micah.
Miranda, thank you. You're so sweet.
That was one of them. Another thing was the financial stuff in reference to the Solid Rock Church. Now, the financial charges itself could land him. How old is this guy? Does anyone know how old this guy?
He's like 39 or 40 or something. No, he's 44 or 5 or something like that, doesn't he? I don't know. It looks like he aged 75 years in like 3 months.
This guy could be coming out. You know, I don't know if his hair is getting a little gray right there, but by the time he's done a federal sentence, his whole beard here will probably be pure white along with his hair. We're talking about him coming out at 70 years old, 80 years old. Federal government, you don't want to mess with them when it comes to wire fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, RICO, obstruction of justice, lying on federal documents, lying to federal agents. You could talk about a 40 piece. You could talk, and they do it in months. Followed by supervised release that could land him under federal supervision for the rest of his life. He could get 40, 30 years in federal prison, followed by 20 years of probation, or they would call it supervised release. He's 41. Thank you, Paul Delgado. 41 years old. So we're talking about You know, this guy could really be incarcerated through his 60s. So is he going to do that, Mr. Narcissism? We had Magnolia on about the DISC assessment. You know, he wants to think of himself as like Adolf Hitler or Lucifer with these.
Oh my God. What?
You what?
I see a bunch of people on TikTok asking, yo, we are live on YouTube also. All you got to do is search for The Mystery Project, and you'll find the channel. We're live there as well. If you want to actually see the video that we're watching, that's where you can find it. Make sure you hit the follow button too. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every single night. You also take a second, hit the follow button, tap the screen like crazy. YouTube, we got 60 likes away from 300. So everybody watching, hit that thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube and Rumble. Hit the thumbs up. Let's get to 300 likes, and make sure you hit the subscribe button, y'all. Let's keep going.
And I don't understand the personality trait aspect. I'm a little bit not educated enough on that. But could this guy, you know, will this guy go, you know, peacefully if they come and get him? Now, the feds surprise you, the element of surprise. So that could be another thing, too. So, you know, we'll see what happens with this. You know, I'm kind of like just rambling a little bit here. But at the same time, I try to wave the flag and say, hey, they're coming. The feds are coming on this guy. And, you know, I'm telling you, once they come and they get that indictment, it's over for him. I don't think he's going to have enough congregation money to get an adequate lawyer to defend himself against the federal government that has unlimited resources. And all that stuff, including March 11th and other dates, it's going to be used against him. I think the videos that he's making right now, speaking about the Francis family and the continuous harassment, and you know, he might say freedom of speech. I have the right to defend myself. They're saying stuff about me. I'm saying stuff back. But boy, oh boy, I don't know who his lawyer is, who he claims that advises him to allow him to do this. Now, he might have the ultimate say, and maybe his lawyers are telling him not to do it, and he's just doing it anyway because he...
That seems like a very good chance that he doesn't seem like a person that would listen to an attorney anyways. Don't, because attorney is never going to tell you to do anything like that. They're going to say, keep your mouth shut. Silence is your best friend. Shut the hell up and handle this in court. They're never going to tell you to go out and make public statements and do all that kind of stuff. On TikTok, what attorney is going to say, hey, find some random person on TikTok and let them release videos for you?
You what?
No, that's not correct.
Saying, I pay you. A lot of people always say, I can't speak because my lawyer told me to speak. No, you can speak if you want to. You're the one that pays your lawyer. You're paid a lawyer. You can listen to them. They can advise you what to do. But at the end of the day, he can make his own decisions. And I can tell you right now, if I was his lawyer, I would tell him to shut up completely. I would tell him to log offline. I would tell him not to use other accounts, because if the same account, remember, whoever's releasing this stuff on this True Crime Re channel, for instance, if he stops putting stuff out there and this True Crime Re continues to put stuff out there taunting the family of Micah Miller, just say, he's in this. He's already in a conspiracy with someone else to put out information, continuous harassment or terroristic threats or whatever, you know.
Jesus.
You can listen to his, you know, things that he's saying. You can see clearly that it is targeted towards the Miller family. And he could have a problem. He could have a problem. So, again, he told on himself about this person calling him. So, very well, the Micah Miller family can get the records and find out who exactly called him. And that's all under discovery. He can get that information. So let's move.
They very well could.
Because I want to talk about the 11th. I want to get back to the 11th because there's a lot of stuff going on the 11th. He had a private investigator, and I have a matter of fact, we're calling Magnolia. We're going to call Magnolia because she's going to explain this a little bit better to me. So we're calling Magnolia up. We're going to get Magnolia in the chat, and she's going to explain this a little bit about this, and then I'm going to show you some documents and things like that. So we're calling Magnolia up right now, and we're going to talk about this 11th because she's really tight in on this 11th and what transpired on the day, and about this, you know, she's with a younger guy. She is, but she's with somebody that she finally felt connected with and be able to trust and talk to about what was going on in her life. Magnolia.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard. JLR Investigates. Thanks for coming on. Can you explain a little bit about this 11th date?
Which part?
All of it, if you can.
Well, that's the day that Micah Miller filed multiple police reports because John Paul was following her all over town, and she found razors in her tires. So she was actually in the process of trying to get a restraining order, which if a lot of people don't know this, to get a restraining order, I'm sure it's different in other states, but at least in South Carolina, you have to have 3 police reports. So she already had one prior, and she ended up submitting 2 separate police reports that day. One was at 1:20 a.m., so the very early morning hours, where she called. She had found razors in her tires when she was at the Springmaid Pier. So that was the first incident. And then later that day in the morning, 11:45 or so, was when she called again. Now this is the day, we've all seen this and we've reported on this pretty extensively, but this is the day when Micah was at the car dealership. She was trying to deal with her tire going flat. They found the razors in the tire, and JP had followed her, stalked her up there, and that's the infamous clip where he says, you'll see the photo on Facebook in a few hours. And Micah responds to him and says, well, you'll be in jail in a few hours. So all of those events that we've covered, all of that happened all in the same day. So he followed her to the magistrate's office while she was going to turn in her police reports to try to get the restraining order. So it was later that night, JP had a PI following her, and the PI followed her to the beach where she was seen and photographed, and I believe videoed possibly too, but at least photographs of her kissing another guy. And this guy he was JP's intern, and JP was kind of teaching him like how to preach and different things like that. So he was working under JP, and I guess Micah had become friends with him. And, this was March 11th. So she had been gone. She had left JP in February. And this is a period of time where she was kind of really trying to get away from him, trying to move on with her new life. She was attending a different church. She was spending time with close friends. And she had a very close circle of people that were there for her. And so this guy was an intern at the church. She was seen kissing him. This is not a rumor. This is true. Now, what JP did, he took that incident and he started texting everybody
all over the place.
Yeah, he was texting Micah's friends, texting people in the church, like going around telling everyone Micah's having an affair with a teenager. And he was saying teenager because I guess the guy was around 19, but I'm told that he's actually 20. And Micah was 29. So ironically, she's a lot closer in age to him than she was to JP, but I digress on that point.
Oh, anyway, interesting. Yeah, because somebody said in the chat, JP's 41. So,
no, and I want to correct you on that. JP is not 41. JP is 45 years old.
Oh.
He was born May 20th, 1979. He was 44 years old at the time of Micah's death. He just turned 45. So he's 45. Micah just turned 30. So JP Miller is 15 years older than Micah.
She's good, right? Magnolia corrected me on somebody said 41 in the chat, and I responded, 41. But no. The actual birth date and everything.
No, he's exactly 15 years older than her. So, and you got to remember, Micah just turned 32 and 30 years old. She just turned 30 in March, I guess. So she was 29 leading up to this, and the guy she's supposedly having an affair with is like 20. So they're really not that far off in age, especially not compared to her and JP. But it's just another way that he's twisting the narrative, so he's going around telling anyone who will listen, Micah's having an affair with a teenager and, trying to make her sound bad. And I know that people in the chat have heard that rumor because we've heard that rumor ourselves. And so the other day when JP said everyone needs to pay attention to March 11th and the cyber sleuths need to remember that date. Well, someone texted me after that and they said, I know what happened on March 11th because the guy that Micah was seeing is one of her close friends. So she knew the whole story. So she told me what happened. And they did share a kiss on the beach, but the relationship didn't progress past that point because Micah felt she was still married and she felt bad about it. So it's not some full-blown scandalous affair like JP's saying. And also, by the way, the younger guy also felt a lot of guilt about it, and JP ended up banning that guy from the church and told him he could never come back. So now,
no, well, the reason why, because
You what?
Banned him from the church?
How dare you?
Oh my goodness.
we feel, we feel JP's going to use that time and that moment to try to discredit Micah to the full capacity, right? He's going to.
Well, yes, because remember this timing, the March 11th.
But JP, you did all that. If you're going to say that she's a bad person for doing something like that, then you're admitting you're a bad person for doing something like that. So it's like, what are you talking about, dude?
I mean, Micah, by then, Micah was already...
And y'all were estranged already when supposedly she did. Or when she did. But when you did it, you weren't. Your first wife, you did it with Micah on your first wife. What are you talking about?
What?
Crazy. All right, let's keep going. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. 31 likes to go for 300. Everybody watching, hit it. Tap the subscribe button too. And TikTok, hit the follow button. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every single night, y'all. Hit the tap the screen like crazy too. And thanks for the little dancing hands, I think it's called. Let's hit that one, y'all. I appreciate it.
Aware of a lot of things going on with JP, and she was already kind of trying to put pieces together herself. And so he knows that it's over. You know, he has to know by now it's over. And he is trying to use this, I guess, to file on grounds, because in South Carolina is actually an at-fault state for divorce. So, and you can file on grounds, including infidelity.
Adultery, right? Adultery. I thought I saw the word adultery, right?
Well,
Same
yes,
thing.
Adultery, infidelity, same thing. So you can file for divorce. There's like certain grounds. One of them is, adultery, habitual use of drugs or alcohol, physical violence, or desertion, which is abandonment. So those are the grounds you could file on. So JP clearly seemed hopeful that he would be able to file on grounds of adultery, and therefore he would get out of, paying alimony and whatever else. So, and that Sunday after this happened, he actually went on stage at the church and he did a sermon, and he actually told the story of finding out that Micah was having an affair, only he framed it as if it was another friend of his. But he kind of like tells the story, and he sort of reveals his motives of seeking proof of adultery in his little speech that he gave.
Yeah,
so,
I have that clip, and I'm going to share that. I'm going to share that
later. But yeah, so you'll be able to see out of his own mouth, he's giving his own motivations for why he's doing it. And honestly, if you're separated from your spouse, there really is only one reason that you're going to hire a PI, and that's to
get dirt,
to catch them on adultery or some other type of
get dirt
grounds. So that's part of why he had the PI following her, because, that's one reason. Now we know he was also obsessed and couldn't stop. So that's another reason. But, he sort of reveals like his own motivations in the process.
Remember that. And he also revealed, now March 11th was the same day he went on that True Crime RI TikTok channel and released a video of Micah filming him. Was that on the 11th also?
Yes, I believe that was also the same day. So I believe that incident in particular specifically was the incident where she was standing at the magistrate's office, possibly, and driving by, and she was filming him. But I don't know if that's exactly the moment it happened, but just remember, this was going on all day.
That's what I'm saying. It started at 1 a.m. on the 11th. So she's filed multiple police reports. She probably knows this guy is either him or a PI is following her around. Of course she's going to bring out a camera and film whoever's filming her and following her around, because she wants to document it herself, that who is this weirdo? Follow me. Who is this person?
Yes.
True.
So, yeah, right. So that's
Lena, thank you.
That's what it was. I mean, she's trying to document, because, like I said, she's in the process of trying to get a restraining order, and you can't do that without 3 police reports. And for her to get video evidence of the stalking is very valuable in a police report. So she needed that evidence. So of course she's following him. I mean, of course she's not following, but recording him as well. You know what I mean? So obviously, but he's going to take this whole thing, and I already know. And someone else told me the other day, I said, do you think JP is really going to say all this, that he's going to go on TikTok and accuse her of having an affair? And I was like, that just seems like a lot to me for him to do that. That seems like really going really far to do that. And she said, no, I absolutely think he's going to.
Do you think he's going to out this 20-year-old?
That's what people are telling me. They believe 100% he's going to out this guy and tell the story from his side. So before he does that, now you know what really happened.
Yeah, you hear it here first on JLR Investigate. That we feel like that's the next route he's going to do is just hone in on this particular day with her kissing a guy on the beach, and maybe even there might even be a photograph, folks. So just be prepared. There might be a photograph or a video, but we're trying to explain what transpired throughout that day and what Micah was going through, all the way through, just all the way back since October, basically, October filing for divorce. And then, she was involuntarily committed by JP and Randall, who almost set her up on that day of February 8th. She gets out the 10th. A couple days later, she drops the divorce. And then a week or so later, around the 23rd of February, he files for spousal support against her. She's moved on in a sense of, going about her life away from him, and he's following her around, putting tracking devices on her vehicle, slashing her tires. And she, met a guy that she felt like she could talk to, someone that would listen probably, and probably somebody that knows JP, right? Somebody that knows JP because, he's part of the church, and she probably, confided with this guy and felt comfortable talking with this guy. And JP's going to try to twist it up like, oh, she's having an affair on me, and she's with this other guy. He might even make it worse, like other allegations. But we're trying to put this out there to show you what this guy is talking about in reference to March 11th. He's sending hints that he's going to send more info.
Yeah. Well, another thing I want to point out that we're gonna play this clip in a minute of his sermon from the Sunday immediately following this event. So one thing I want to point out for you to pay attention to is he said something about the pastor couldn't find her anywhere, so he had to hire people to go find her. Well, here's the amusing side note on that. When he had her involuntarily committed February 8th to the 10th, he believed they were going to keep her. He thought he had her right where he wanted her. He thought they were going to admit her to the hospital.
Oh, man.
And she would just be, so he would basically have her on ice while he ran around and tried to go find her evidence and all this other stuff he was doing.
Oh, snap.
So she's in the hospital. He steals her car and her phone and everything. And to his horror, they actually released her after 2 days. So he was left with no way to track her because he stole her car and her phone. So he had no idea where she was. So he had to hire people to help him find her because she was hiding from him. She was going and staying with friends. So he basically shot himself in the foot by stealing her car and her phone, and then couldn't find her. So he ends up resorting to having people follow her, paying PIs and all this other kind of stuff. So
which is a lot of money, right? Hiring a PI to track somebody down all day. That adds up, right?
Yeah.
But the goal here was to some people might be asked in the chat, what is the point of the PI? To get as much dirt as possible on her?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure other people have been in this situation, or someone who has. I personally know someone who was in a similar situation and separated from a volatile marriage, but he had a PI that was following the wife to see if she was doing drugs, to see how she was behaving around the children, to follow her and her boyfriend, and all of that was just to basically build a case for the divorce. And so that's part of his motivation. He's building his case.
But his goal here was to get as much. I'm feeling, I don't know if you feel it, Magnolia. I'm feeling it's more about getting as much dirt as possible to do the adultery defense, so she's not entitled to any money. Because remember, she's part of this church during all these years. She sings up there. She's a part of this. Part of this. He devalues his home in December because, he undervalues the home, gets it transferred over to the church to, undercut her and to get her as less money as possible. I think at the end of the day, this wasn't about him caring about her. This was about him getting as much dirt on her to discredit her, and so she doesn't get any money.
Yeah, it's definitely what it seems like. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. 5 likes away from 300, y'all. I appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe button. TikTok, do the same thing. Hit the follow button if you're new here. Tap the screen. Let's get the 75,000 likes. We got 6 more of those dancing hearts to go, y'all. Thank you for the love and the support. You don't have to do that, but it is very much appreciated. All right, let's keep on going.
That's my feeling.
Right, and that way, well, right, because that's what that means. If you file an at-fault divorce, that means if you win that, then you're not obligated to pay alimony, which he would have been. See,
He did not want to pay alimony, that's for sure.
people have to remember, Micah was fully dependent on JP. Her income, if he even paid her at all, came from him, from the church. So she had no income of her own the entire time they were married. JP Miller allegedly has $5.9 million in assets. Okay, so just imagine if she had gotten the divorce, how much money in alimony he would have had to pay her.
Yep.
It would have been a high amount, because when you look at alimony payments, what they do is they look at the ratio between how much money each person makes. So in this case, it's a 100-to-0 ratio. So he's going to be like completely responsible for her financial well-being, so he would have had to pay her alimony. He may have had to pay, the marital assets, half the money in the assets. But, this is just.
But it's a combination of, like, this was not only for that financially, but to label her mentally ill. I think his ultimate goal is he was fearful that she was going to blow the whistle, more or less, and share all the secrets and everything about him of what,
that part.
She witnessed going on at this church and with him for all those years that she was married. And he's trying to discredit her and make her life totally miserable in a sense where she's mentally ill. She commits adultery. She's not faithful, and so no one would believe her if she started speaking. Do you think that was part of this too?
Oh yeah, that's definitely a part of it. You always, if you're the villain in a story, your number one go-to thing has to be to discredit the witness. That's number one. That's what you do.
Yep.
That's what abusers do. People, I won't go into too much detail, but a lot of times, when people wonder why women won't come forward regarding sexual abuse, it's because they're scared that their abuser is going to trash them.
Yeah.
And that's why they won't come forward, because we've seen it when women have to go on the stand and testify. When they get cross-examined, their own past gets pulled out and raked over the coals. So it's a tactic. It's a number one tactic of any abuser. You have to discredit the witness. You just have to. If you're going to win, that's the way you have to do it. So you do all these things and you tell people things about the person that may or may not be true, just to form people's opinions of this person, so that in the event this person comes and says to you, oh, my husband did XYZ, that person will automatically say, oh, she must be off her meds again. And that's essentially what happened back in October on the Africa trip. She actually confided in people on that trip about the abuse, some of the abuse, not all of it, but she confided in people and she told them things that was going on. And those same people convinced her that she should give her marriage another chance. So, his tactics worked. And we've heard from so many witnesses that have told us they believed him. They believed everything he said. And now, of course, they're living a nightmare because this woman tried to come to them for help and they just automatically didn't believe her, and they thought, oh, well, JP, already told us that she won't take her meds and she has these issues, so it works. It's a tactic that works, and that's why he does it.
Well, not only that, but the rumors about her maybe turning him into the IRS or reporting him for some crimes prior, if he can label her as mentally ill and someone that commits adultery and anything like
it discredits all that too.
That would have been discrediting her on that aspect too, right?
Yes, exactly.
And he would have had a defense, if he would have got charged down the line for anything that she was a witness to, she would have been an uncredible witness because he was documenting, or getting all this stuff that she just wasn't credible.
Right, but are we just not going to talk about the fact that JP was having an affair openly with Susie Skinner for like the last 2 years?
And the other girl that he was on the beach with?
Exactly.
I mean, just look at the hypocrisy. I mean, it's not... It was the worst kept secret in Myrtle Beach for the last 2 years. People saw them all over the place together. Everybody knew he was seeing Susie Skinner this entire time. So what makes him think that that he has the right to throw it in Micah's face?
And I would say that, you know, him being with Susie's probably more than just a kiss.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're in a
Ew.
how dare you full-blown relationship, and they were ever since before Susie's husband died. I mean, we know from reports that Susie's husband told JP to leave his wife alone. And 2 weeks later, he's dead.
Speaking of Susie.
So this was going on for so many years.
Speaking of Susie, can you share information you obtained about what's going on with JP and Susie right now?
Well, yeah, there was someone out last week that went to one of the protests, and she had found out that there was a couple girls that were there. Apparently, they follow JP pretty much every night, and they said that JP is still seeing Susie, and they're meeting up each night, and they meet at the ballpark near the church, and then they'll go either to JP's house or Susie's house. But apparently, they're still seeing each other. They're just being more discreet. Because remember, we talked about Susie.
You what?
Got popped by the Daily Mail that
Yeah.
day.
So when she goes to the ballpark, what do you mean? Like she drives, they meet at the ballpark, she drives there, gets out of her vehicle and gets in JP's vehicle?
Yeah, I guess.
Or he gets in hers? I mean, he leaves his truck there at the ballpark?
Yeah, so they basically just meet up at this ballpark, I guess, that's near the church, and they'll either go to his house or they'll go to her house. But yeah, so that's apparently where they meet. And so they're still seeing each other. They're just being more discreet and low key about it, which is smart. That's what they should do. And I said this last time. Now about this whole thing with JP, people, like I said, people think that he's going to come out and reveal that she had this affair with this other guy, and he's going to out this guy and stuff. I still am not convinced that he's really going to do it. If he really does it, I will be genuinely stunned. And the reason I'm saying that is just because, when he first started saying he's going to do this evidence and justice for Micah, I thought that it was going to be much different than what it's turned out to be, because so far all it's been is innuendo, going after her family and doing all these things. If JP Miller really wants to get justice for Micah, you know what he would be doing? He would be using these videos every single night to honor her life, to talk about all the things
that is so true
she accomplished in her life, the amazing mission work that she built, her beautiful singing voice, her talent at graphic design, her hard work ethic, all of these things.
Yeah, he wouldn't be saying the things that he's saying and trying to discredit her and the family and everybody else.
If you want justice,
that makes a lot of sense.
Justice for Micah Miller, that's what you should be doing. You should be celebrating her life. You shouldn't be going on TikTok every night trashing her memory
and trashing her family.
That is just insane to me that he's actually
that's crazy. Desiree, thank you.
Doing this, and I know what I've said before, and I know what I've predicted, but I still, at the same time, I have this like tiny hope that he will come to his senses at some point, and he'll stop attacking her memory, and he'll stop attacking her family. I just can't believe that he's still doing it. So I just think if he knows what's good for him, he won't do this.
I personally think everything that he's been doing is going to be used against him. Well, down the line civilly, like each and every one of these videos that it's not, because if it was just the videos itself, yeah, he has a right to say this, but this bleeds into everything, and it's it's going to be part of it. It's going to be part of a civil suit.
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I mean. If he knows what's good for him, he will stop doing this, and he will not drag this guy through the mud and further drag her memory through the mud.
Yeah, but that's giving him a lot of credit, saying that he knows, if he knows what's good for him. It doesn't seem like or maybe he does and he just chooses not to care. You know what I mean?
It will really genuinely blow my mind if he actually does it. But I know what I've said before, and I know how he is, and I know he probably won't be able to resist it. But I guess part of me is just hoping he will, because it's just doing the absolute most, and it's not helping him. It's not. It's all it's doing is it's making him look even more like a villain. If he wants to get rid of this villain, and here I am again giving him advice, but if he wants to get rid of this villain cloak, this shadow of all these like rumors and all this stuff, he would do what I said. He would use his platform or his whatever, wherever he's posting things, he would say, you know, this is.
I've seen a lot of people saying that, though, that the true crime RI is actually JP. What do y'all think about that? Have you heard that yet? Like, that's just his channel. There is no other person there. It's just him. Have you guys heard that? What do you think? If so, if you think that's true, put a thumbs up. If you think no, it's actually a person, thumbs down.
This is how we honor Micah. This is how we get justice for Micah. We continue her legacy. We continue her work. We honor what she was trying to do. Whether he means it or not, I'm sure he doesn't mean any of it. He doesn't care about her. I mean, clearly. But if he wanted to get rid of some of this bad image type stuff, that's what he would do.
Interesting too, and I personally
see a whole lot of thumbs up, y'all.
Think a guy that is no secret. He's under federal investigation. There's no he can deny it all he wants. He's under federal investigation. He has facing civil charges, right? I don't even think, even if, how he kept saying, oh, all these other networks, will talk to me, but I choose this one TikTok channel. I don't even think the networks I don't even think the networks.
I didn't see a single thumbs down, y'all. So everybody's pretty much consensus is that's more than likely JP
would even entertain what he has to say with this stuff, because I think it would be reckless for the networks even to put this thing out and make his accusations as him under criminal investigation. So I don't, for him to say that I could go on big networks and I choose not to, I think the networks won't even entertain this type of talk from him. They might entertain if he honors Micah, and like you just said, but for this talk that he's been doing on TikTok, I don't think the networks would even air it.
Right, and that was also our.
No, that's our job. That's the social media job. That's the social media, the true crime channels. That's our job, y'all, to get that kind of stuff and disseminate it to the masses, y'all. Which, by the way, make sure you're subscribed, because I'm live every night. YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Everybody watching, hit the thumbs up button, because we've got 500 people watching and 329 likes. I think we can get 71 more for 400 likes on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up button. TikTok, same thing. Hit the follow button. We got almost 800 of y'all watching. My name's Patrick. I'm live every night. Hit and tap the screen like crazy too. 78,000 likes. Let's get 100,000 likes. Thank you for the tiny dinies. I appreciate the love and the support during the live streams, y'all. It helps me go live every night. You don't have to if you don't want to. And check out thehauntedSide.com, y'all. ThehauntedSide.com. You can find all kinds of ways to support the show. Let's keep on going.
Our hesitation. It's like, we discussed this with the family. There's two sides of this. There's the one side that if you sit down with him and give him an interview and let him talk, that he could bury himself further, possibly. But then on the flip side, if you give him an interview, all he's going to do is sit there and lie on Micah. So you're in this, it's like a catch-22. And I think you're right. I think a lot of the networks, I don't think that they would want to promote this type of
not at all
victim blaming
projection.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing, he's victim blaming. That's
victim
really
shaming too.
Yes, and shaming the victim. Yes. And so I don't think that there's too many major networks that would want to participate in that. Now, I could see them interviewing him and listening to what he has to say and then immediately disavowing what he said. That's probably what we would do. We would probably say, okay, this is what JP is saying, but we just want to be clear that we disavow victim blaming and shaming and all these other things. So, that's how they could handle it, I suppose. But yeah, it's very dicey because we know he's under investigation. We know that the investigation is large in scope. So we don't know how long it's going to take. And I think a lot of responsible journalists and news outlets want to be careful in the approach for that reason. Because
I personally think when this indictment comes, and I do think it's coming, I always say it's going to come, we're going to be shocked on the details in this indictment. Like, there's going to be a lot of stuff we probably don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And all our jaws are going to be dropped on the floor. Like, oh my goodness.
Right, 100%. There's going to be a lot that we don't know. I mean, we know generally what the topic is of the different investigations. There's, you know, the money aspect, potential money laundering, potential trafficking, not to mention the abuse itself. So we know those things, but it's, you know, when we've been investigating this case extensively, and there's just so much, and I'll tell our viewers, there's so much that we haven't even been able to cover it all, because there's just so much, and there's certain things that we won't cover because of the fact there's an ongoing investigation. So, and you know, there's certain things we can't cover because of that. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot to it. The day is coming, I'm sure. JP,
and
I don't know. Does he know or not?
There's no evidence out there that he's a victim of anything. None.
No.
None.
No.
Zero. And I don't think he has
maybe of himself. That's about it.
Anybody that can corroborate that he's a victim. He might be a victim in his mind. He might say it out of his own mouth. He might feel he's a victim. Nobody's going to co-sign that. Nobody. Nobody.
So, and the other thing I was going to say too about the FBI investigation, just to give people some context. So, you know, I worked at I'm not going to talk about details right now. I'll talk about this story another time, but I'll just give a general example. We at Project Veritas, we ran into a situation like 3 years ago, I guess, where the FBI was investigating one of our stories. Right now, just think about this. So when that happened, you know, we're alerted and we're made aware that there is an active investigation. And once people know that, guess what happens? There is a chilling effect that happens when the presence of an ongoing FBI investigation is known. And what I mean by that is, people after that were scared to email us. They were scared to email. We were scared to email each other, in fact, because we know at that point there's an investigation going on. So what that means is everything that you put in writing, everything you email to someone is subject to be captured in that investigation. So just imagine, let's say this true crime Ree. Well, I hate to tell her, but any communications that she's having with JP Miller are being read by the FBI.
Yep.
That's happening, okay? So anything that JP sends to Trisha Miller, any email...
Trisha Ross.
Or Trisha Ross. Dr. Randall, anybody that's communicating, all of those emails, all of those texts, everything else are being captured right now.
Yep. So, and they have the authority. Like, all they have to do is get a warrant. Judge is going to sign off on it.
You don't even need to know about it.
Yeah.
And you won't know about it. Guess what? We found out that the FBI had subpoenaed all of our emails going back 2 years. So not even emails that were related to the active investigation. They took out warrants from various social media platform. Microsoft, they subpoenaed Microsoft for our emails going back 2 years that had nothing to do with the current investigation. So you got to think about that. And if you're somebody who thinks you're going to go out here willy-nilly and do an interview with JP Miller, well, you need to stop and think about that, because everything you're texting him, they're watching, they're seeing it. You're getting captured in those communications. You're getting looped up. So that's another reason right there why a lot of journalists would be very, very cautious in communicating directly with JP Miller, because they know that. They know that.
So interesting. And I don't know where he's getting his legal advice from, but I'm just shocked that the behavior is continuing. And
I am too. I really am. I honestly, that last one he did yesterday was kind of a fluff piece. There really wasn't anything to it. I'm
still asking, he claims he's going to release 350 pieces of evidence. I haven't seen one shred of evidence. I just see
Yeah,
talk. I just see talk.
I mean,
Talk.
Well, he released an invoice from the funeral home, but I'm really not sure what that was supposed to be evidence of. Evidence that he paid.
Yeah, that part was crazy as hell. Kiara, thank you so much for the $5 Rumble rant. Patrick, your shows this week have been extra good. Thank you, especially Agatha May. She is great. She's a hoot. Thanks for a great show that we can count on watching each evening. My pleasure. Thank you so much for the support. The Rumble rants and super chats. TikTok hit me with the little tiny things. Oh, I appreciate the love and the support. I didn't think anybody was going to care. But look at that. We got 237,041 on TikTok and on YouTube, y'all. We're growing over here. This is only like a month on this one, and it's 13,345. So unbelievable. And shout out to Rumble, too. We got 1,200 on Rumble. Y'all are amazing. All right, let's keep going. Oh, YouTube, by the way, 47 likes to get to 400. Everybody watching. We got way more than 400 people watching. Everybody, just hit that thumbs up button real quick. Just give it a little like. All right, let's keep going.
Paid the bill? Because I don't think anyone was disputing that he paid the bill. I'm pretty sure the family acknowledges that he paid the bill. Actually, they said he should pay the bill because of all the things that he put her through. It was the least he could do.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that invoice was evidence of exactly. But if that's the type of evidence he has, then we're going nowhere fast.
Or the type of evidence showing Micah in her car filming someone that's following her. Like,
that's a known stalker.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? What kind of evidence is that?
Right. Filming a
It's actually evidence against whoever was stalking her.
Exactly. Carol, thank you. Michelle, thank you for the $2 super chat. Y'all click that little thing down there in the bottom of the chat. Patrick, you're awesome. Thank you. No, you guys are awesome.
Well, I'm glad she recorded him. And actually, you know, I told a couple of her friends and family this, and it's something that I learned in my line of work over the years. These people, they have no fear of the police whatsoever. They don't care. The law does not apply to them in any way, shape, or form. So threatening to call the police, calling the police, filing a police, they don't care about that stuff. And JP illustrated that as clearly as a person can. So I believe that Micah, at some point in the last 6 months, had an epiphany, and she realized the same thing. But even more so, there's only one thing that these people fear, and that's being exposed. And at some point, Micah realized that. And I'm very, very proud of her for that, because all the things that she was going through and this constant state of anxiety and fear and just all these emotions that she must have been going through, she was somehow clear-headed enough at some point to realize the only way she would ever be rid of him was to expose him. So she began meticulously documenting everything, and we already know she had kept journals as well.
Well, that going back to that, I think her family, getting united back with her family, had a huge part in that, and that's why JP is furious and angry and vindictive, and trying now to attack Micah's family.
And thankfully, she had a lot of good people around her that clearly were advising her that she needed to document everything. And I'm sure when she...
Brent, JP is fucking innocent. You are correct. In the United States, you are innocent until proven guilty. You are absolutely innocent until proven guilty. And yeah, we'll see what evidence comes out. If any evidence comes out, maybe they won't be able to find anything. Maybe they'll be able to find all kinds of stuff. We have no clue right now. But you know what we can do? Because it's also America. Speculate. We can talk about it. We can talk about our ideas. We can talk about theories, and we can talk about things based on what we see, and based on behaviors, and based on facts from affidavits of previously filed motions and affidavits and things. So you are correct. He is innocent until proven guilty. So
when she started to get the restraining order and she realized how difficult it can be.
You must have watched a whole lot of Cops growing up. Remember that one? You used to always read the Miranda rights.
You know, she went to work.
Anything you say can and will be used against you. in a court of law.
She straight up went to work. She started documenting everything.
Like he confronted her and he's telling her, walk away, I'm calling the police. Walk away. That's what you're supposed to say to somebody like in that situation. She's doing the appropriate measures. When someone's following her, JP or his PIs, she's filming it. She's documenting it. She's doing what she's supposed to do as a victim to gather evidence about what is happening to her.
And I think that was whatever it was that finally clicked in her mind that was like, this is what I need to do. I think that once she realized, like, okay, I need to get myself together. I need to pull myself together. I need to get all of this evidence. I need to put it all together.
Kelly, thank you.
I think that process of doing that probably made her feel empowered and confident. And it made her feel like, well, maybe I do have some power here finally. And you could see it in her. You could clearly see it in her videos that she did towards the end.
Yes.
She had confidence. Yeah. She was poised. She spoke without fear. She knew, like, she was on the right path. She got baptized at the new church on Easter Sunday. She was surrounding herself with good people that were advising her, that were helping her. She was getting rid of these people that were stabbing her in the back.
She was working independently. She was paying her bills.
She was building her dreams. She was planning on
Redline, thank you.
Going back to Africa for 4 to 5 months at a time. She had a plan. She was going to work at J. Peters, save up her money. She had friends that were helping her and supporting her that told her, you can stay with me while you raise money to go to Africa. And so she had sort of like got her groove back a little bit, I think, there towards the end. And she was kind of like, you know, I think I got this. You know what I mean? And I'm proud of her, because that's anybody who's been in a situation. I mean, I've never heard of a situation as severe as this one, but I think that we've all been in situations in relationships where we felt like we just couldn't get out. Like there was just no way out. And it's like, how am I going to do this? And so just looking at that, and, you know, I've been in bad relationships. I know everyone has. And you know how hard it is to break out of it. It's so hard. And for her to be able to find that strength is like amazing to me. And I just think I said this on the very first day. I said Micah Miller is going to be known as a hero, because that's what she is.
And he knows it, and he's trying his best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes.
But he's isolated, and I think he's in desperation mode. I think he's the one that's having some mental issues for sure. I mean, you can clearly see it in what he's saying, and just the way he's acting right now is not normal behavior.
No, it's not at all.
No, it is not.
So we'll continue to monitor. I wanted to get your insight because you are invested in this with your sources. You know, I'm with you on this, but you can, you know, explain it a little. You're great at explaining this, and everyone appreciates your insight.
Desiree, you want me to do his voice? I'll do his voice. He's over there like, pretty good.
And
been working on it.
Thanks for coming on.
Someone reap what you sow said Micah is saving lives. Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And I could tell, you know, and that's why I said that so early on. Like, I could just tell that her life was going to matter in a massive, massive way. Micah Miller, at the end of the day, is going to change the world. And that is very powerful. So she's a hero. He's a zero. And the more he fights it, the worse he looks.
Yep. All the way up to when he's in cuffs.
Yeah.
My prediction.
So we're going to play, Jonathan's going to play in a minute the video. So right after this incident on March 11th, that following Sunday, JP Miller did a sermon.
Desiree, thank you.
And I didn't sit through the whole sermon, but you know, he was emotional throughout the sermon, and then at one point he speaks on this topic of a pastor's wife having an affair.
So it's about 3 minute clip, right? About 3 minutes.
And you'll be able to identify several key things where he's talking about this situation specifically.
All right, thanks for your insight, Magnolia. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Magnolia brought her on. Isn't she great? It's up to her channel, Magnolia Investigates. She's been out here with me myself, out in the field. But yeah, this is wild. So this is the sermon. This is the sermon, and I'm getting it right here because this is interesting here. It's about 3 minutes. We're gonna play it right here. Here we go, folks.
Philippians 4:13 says, "There's one thing I do. I forget those things that are past and reach out to what is ahead of me." A friend of mine that's a pastor called me last week, and one day on a Monday, his wife told him that he was the greatest husband in the world, that she loved her life, and she was so appreciative. The very next day, something happened, and then she left. And he didn't know where she went. She just left. Left all of her things. Left everything she had, everything she worked for, everything. He didn't know what to think. He had no idea what was going on. So he hired a third-party service to find her and see where she was living and that kind of
Holy hell, project much?
stuff. And they did.
My word. Who you talking about? Who's your pastor friend? He preferenced all of this with, I have a friend. I have a friend. He's my friend.
And
First off, that's a lie.
last week they turned in all of their
Allegedly. You got friends?
Bruh.
evidence to his lawyer, and he discovered that she had left him for one of his staff members, a young man that he had trained to learn how to preach, that he had shared his pulpit with him.
What in the heck?
A young man who the pastor paid to go to Bible college, gave him a job. He worked hand in hand with the pastor. And in one fleeting moment, the pastor lost his wife and his good friend all at the same time. When he saw the information over the lawyers, he started to throw up. Just throw up one trash can, second trash can, third trash can, and he just started to dry heave. He couldn't believe what he saw. It was the most horrible image and worst thing you could ever imagine. The lawyer drew up the divorce papers. The lawyer told him and said, you have everything you need now. You can be divorced in 3 months. And you'll never have to see her again. You won't have to give her a dime. There's far more than enough information to take care of everything. The pastor said, give me the papers, draw them up. They got all the paperwork ready. They put the pen in his hand, and he just couldn't sign.
And he couldn't do it because he loves her so much. He couldn't do it.
The paper.
Oh, Lord.
They said, but don't you see everything? Don't you understand? And he called a lot of the elders, and they supported. If he wanted to leave her, just leave her. This is it. And for some reason, he just couldn't do it. And so he went home, and he wrote her a letter. And all he said was, I forgive you for what you've done. And I already forgive you for whatever you're going to do. Whenever you want to be restored, just call. And if you want a divorce, you'll have to leave me, because the Bible says, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. He left.
And it said P.S.
The hardest thing he's ever had to go through. He can't hear from God very clearly. He doesn't know what God.
No, I close my eyes when I do that, so I can't see how ridiculous I look. I can only imagine how ridiculous I look when I do that.
Wants him to do. He knows that she's not herself and doesn't know how to handle it or how to respond. The rage, the rejection, the relationship, it's all there. And so if you get a chance, pray that his heart does not remain angry or upset, because it's destroying him.
Unbelievable. That was right after March 11th. The next.
This is crazy. By the way, YouTube, 18 likes now. 18 likes from hitting 400. So everybody watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up real quick. Hit the subscribe button as well. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every single night. TikTok, do the same thing. Hit the follow button. Tap the screen like crazy. Very close to 100,000 likes. And we need 16 more of those tiny dinies as well. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Let's keep going. A couple minutes left on this one.
Sermon. That March 11th day, it's just wild, folks. Unbelievable. And remember what he said.
Bananas crazy, JLR.
Unhinged bananas crazy.
Before not the thing he talked last night on TikTok, but the night before.
She would sometimes forget who I was or forget that I was her husband.
Everybody wants to forget who you are. And I would imagine most people would want to forget that you're their husband too.
She'd forget who she was, or forget that she was my wife. Sometimes she'd forget who her family is, things like that. And on March 11th, remember that date, because you super sleuths out there are going to need to know that date for the future. But on March 11th, something happened that kind of forever changed the course of our lives. And she went really deep into the schizophrenia and was delusional and accusing me of certain things, slashing tires or sending a naked picture or stalking
You admitted to all that, bro. Like literally, you admitted to all that.
her, things like that I didn't do. And
That he didn't do. He says he didn't do it.
Away.
I'll show you the pictures.
Do you want to go to jail?
They'll be on Facebook in a few hours.
Alrighty, you'll be in jail in a few hours. Walk away. Walk away.
I'll show you the pictures.
I'll show you the
Do you wanna go
pictures.
to jail?
They'll be on Facebook in a few hours.
You'll be on
Alrighty,
Facebook in a
you'll be
few
jail
hours.
Walk
So he
away.
never admits to anything, and he's doing those behaviors. March 11th. March 11th. Numerous police reports filed against J.P. Miller. Unbelievable. But every time he's in the wrong, he wants to blame it on her. Oh, she's mentally ill. She's not taking her lithium. She had zero mental illness. And I don't even think she was mentally ill at all. I just think that this dude, just the amount of emotional, spiritual, physical abuse that she was subjected to from the time the marriage was in 2017 on. People said no mental illness prior to this marriage. She wasn't on lithium. Nothing. This is just unbelievable, folks. Like how he's just blaming her, victim blaming, victim shaming, and doing his best on TikTok to discredit her. Where it's him. It's him. How come he can't ever accept any responsibility at all?
Because he would have to take accountability.
I appreciate Magnolia in the chat. I appreciate all of you in the chat. We will continue to cover this case. We'll continue to share our insight about this case based on our boots on the ground, based off our sources. Remember, folks, Micah's Law, this needs to be passed. If you're in South Carolina, please contact your local politicians and encourage them to pass Micah's Law. So Micah, so people that are in a similarly situated, people that are in the same type of situation that Micah was in, they can get help and they can break the chains and be safe and protected. Micah's Law will save lives. I am 100% convinced. We want to get Micah's Law passed, so contact your politicians and encourage them to pass Micah's Law. If you're from out of the state of South Carolina, contact politicians in South Carolina and encourage them to pass Micah's Law.
Amen to that. Holy macaroni. That was a lot. Y'all, if you're just tuning in, don't worry. You can rewatch the stream because the YouTube is going to end and the Rumble is going to end. TikTok, if you just came in, don't worry. You can pop over to YouTube. Just search The Mystery Project. It should be on the screen. Or click the link that's in the bio that says YouTube. It'll take you right to it. But I'm out of here, y'all. I'm exhausted. Thank you for all of the love, y'all. TheHauntedSide.com. Go check it out. All kinds of ways to support the show. TheHauntedSide.com. YouTube, I love you guys. Rumble, I love you guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow.